Hi, Bo here from High Tech Investment, and in today's video we're going to talk about solar farm. We're going to talk about the compounding strategy you can use and how to optimize your profit. So this tutorial and video is basically what we think will be the optimum solution, and we're going to discuss both the version 1 solar farm and version 2. Obviously there is a few differences, and if you're already lost now and not quite sure what we are talking about here, then this is actually the third video that we are making on solar farm, and you might want to start off with the first video that is shown here. So this gives the background for the solar farm, the entire project, and also about the solar farm bringing the casino to the metaverse and what exactly they're expecting to do with the coins. The second video we made was for version 2, which is now slightly different. I wouldn't say improved necessarily, because there's pros and cons to these two platforms here, but this is version 2 information and tutorial on what are the limitations and how you can guide around in the different platform. There's been some updates on the platform itself, so with the layouts, but all the rules are basically in there. So this video is still very much the one that you need to watch. So these two things we're going to go through and then explain to you the strategies that we believe is some of the best ones in order to optimize your profits. But as always, so this is a risky business, so anything with crypto is always high risk. So we just want to read out the investment disclaimer, and then we'll be right back where we're going to show you everything, including a little Excel that we have built up that you can also get from us. More about that later in the video.
The data on this website is for your information only. It does not constitute professional investment advice or advice on tax or legal matters. Please remember that all investment strategies and investments involve risk of loss. Nothing contained in this video should be construed as investment advice. Any reference to an investment's past or potential performance is not, and should not be construed as, a recommendation or as a guarantee of any specific outcome or profit in the future.
So now that we got the boring parts out of the way, so we are all adults here, so we understand the risks that are involved. We're going to start off just with this morning's chart before we did the video. So this is basically showing the BNB versus USDT at the same USD dollar. And at the moment it's around $217 for one BNB, and it has been popping around the 215 to 220 mark. So this is just to give you an idea of what kind of money that we are talking about in this particular video. We're going to start off with solar farm and the version 1, and this is the platform and the setup that we have in here. As I mentioned in the beginning, there is not too many rules and regulations on version 1, which the developers figured out that this was not sustainable necessarily long term, and unfortunately they could not make the changes. So for the version 1 they basically had to do a new script, and that's why they ended up with version 2 with a range of limitations. That doesn't mean that version 1 is completely done and finished. Definitely not. We still have money in there. And as you can see, we have panel owned, that has already gone up. So 43 billion or 43.5 billion here. Panel value at the moment was set at 1.4. We added 1 in at the given time. And then you can see the daily rewards also here, which is about 0.28 BNB. Daily rewards at the moment, as we see it, was 20. Since then, it has gone into a cooling period, which was down to 8, and then it's going to go up again to 14.82. But on this particular platform here, so you have all the yearly returns, you have the grid maintenance fees, and also the compounding statistics. You have your buying panel here, and then basically your compound rewards and your selling power. So the way we have done it here is, in the beginning, obviously we only had version 1, and we were compounding and looking at the cost for doing so. It's only a few cents every single time, but we managed to compound around every 1.5–2 hours. And now that we also are involved in version 2, that means that basically we're updating the platforms at the same time. So roughly every 90 minutes. And obviously we also need a bit of sleep from time to time. So it will be maybe around 10 updates that or compoundings we can do per day. And that seems to work quite well on this particular platform. When you take money out again from the version 1, there's no penalties. You can take as much out as you will. But I will come with a couple of comparisons as we go over version 2, so you can see the exact differences. So, but version 1, we have a couple of things in there which is not in version 2. So that means the cooling part, as we just had a period just before this video, takes it down to 8% and then slowly, gradually goes up again to 14.28. Then you have the Supernova, so which is normally boosted up to 20% return on the investment, and we had that for the last couple of weeks. The Hypernova is something that only happens in a couple of hours during the day, and normally you get an update on this exactly when that's going to happen. So, but within the 2-hour time frame, you can have Hypernova and you can have solar flares that will happen several times during that period of time, and you will have no special warning for this, so you need to pay attention. So the Hypernova is return on investment for that short period of time can be between 50 and 90%, and then the solar flare will be only for about 60 seconds up to 2 minutes, and the return on the investment in that particular case will be 90 to 100%. And those are the times where it's actually best to buy and best to sell is during the cooling period. So strategies here on version 1 is very, very simple and straightforward. So every single time you have Hypernova solar flares, so you go out and buy, and when you have a cooling period, we normally go in and sell. So for the version 2, we're going to have a couple of special names. So you can see them in the top here. It's called abuse, it's called dump, it's called spam. And again, I have to refer you back to the previous videos where we went through this step by step, so you can go in and see exactly what it is we are talking about here. So the specifics in Solar Farm version 2 here is the compounding bonus, and it's set up in such a way that the compounding bonus will be 1.5%. So for every 3 compounds you do. So and then the maximum will be up to 15%. So that means in total you have to compound 30 times in order to get your 15%. On top of this, you're already getting the 14.28, so you are basically almost at 30%, and that is part of the name of the game, that you have to make sure that you get there as quickly as possible. There's also a difference between the referral bonus. You can see it's 10% here for version 2. And this only goes for when your referrals are putting money in. So it is not part of the compounding system. So it's only when they put new money in, they invest more within the platform. And that's another difference. In the version 1, you will get 12.5%, and you will get 12.5% from every investment that are being put in from your referrals, but also from your compounding. So obviously that part is a lot stronger. So, and definitely something to take into consideration also, and that's why we are still using both platforms. Then we have the Solar Guide penalties, and those are the ones that basically we're going to go over today and see how we can best guide us around them. So without hitting the penalties, that way we get the optimum solutions. So the base abuse is 50% tax, and the 50% tax will basically be that when you're taking money out, you will lose half of that. Obviously, nobody wants to do that. The dump abuse, again, 50% tax, so that means you lose half of what you thought you're going to take out. But in this particular case, you're also going to lose 10% of your panels, and the panels are the ones that are actually making you revenue. So you don't want to be doing that either. Spam abuse is another one, so a heavy 75% tax on top of this. So not much you're getting out at the end of the day, and then at the same time you're also losing 5% of your panels. So these are some of the things that you want to avoid, and that's the reason why we are sending this video out today. So the way the setup here looks, so you have multiple panels obviously, And what we are calling here is the fresh value that tells you the maximum you can take out per withdrawal. And you can see in this particular case, we originally invested 2.01 BNB, so that is our fresh value. And obviously you can take out less, but if you take out more, you are already hitting one of the limitations here, and you have to pay tax on this. So the compounding count also needs to be a minimum of 15 compounds between each cell. And that means that 15 times the cooling status, which is 1.5 hours or 90 minutes every single time, means that you have to compound at least 15 times, and that will take you 22.5 hours if you are not getting any sleep, and you will get up to tier 5. So that's how to avoid the second bonus. You can see the current compounding is 72, and the bonus tier that we have here is bonus tier. So again, it will tell you exactly if you are in doubt. So we're not in any risk if we wanted to take any money out at the moment. Then the base abuse is set at 5 times your fresh value. So that basically means for your new investment, or there's also a second part, and that's the referring to others. So if you look at the fresh value again, it was 2.01. They times it by 5. So when we got into this particular platform, it was at 10.05. The difference here now of basically 1 BNB is because we have referred this to a couple of people. They have come in, they have put a bit of money in, and that obviously also helps boost up the allowance. But it won't boost it up enough over time, and I will show you exactly why. So it's very important to have a decent strategy in place. Obviously, we appreciate that the people are coming in, they're supporting us and the channel in order to make all these videos here for you. So, but at the end of the day, they want, the developers, they want us to reinvest in the platform in order to have the sustainability that it should have over long periods of time. So what is the plan? Well, the first plan here is that you buy. You go in and you buy, depending on what is your budget for this. And I have to remind you also that you're never getting the money back. Yeah. So it's not something that is bound for a week, 2 months, or a year. You basically put it into the platform and then you compound it, and that is the money that you're getting back out again. So the investment in there goes into the system, and it's not something you're getting back later. In this particular case, you saw that we did a buy, so just 2 BNB, and then from there on you basically compound it. And the whole idea here is that you compound it up to the maximum 15%, so that you're getting 29.82, so 14.82%, which the platform gives already. And then it'll also give you a little bonus if you continues to compound. So the compounding itself, there's a cool down time, as I explained here before, so 1.5 hours or 90 minutes. And in reasonable times, especially if you have your MetaMask on your phone, you can maybe do about 10 compounds a day. And then you'll get your 15% in about 3 days. So that's what should be possible. So, and the 10 compounds per day will get you up to tier 3 on the first day, and then hopefully up to 6 or 7. Yeah. So that is the strategy that you should try and follow. Obviously, if you can't have a look at this, then it will take a bit longer to get there. So the next part is obviously important part, and that's the withdrawal phase. And one of the things that you have to take into consideration here is that you should only withdraw the max fresh value amount each time. So now why would that be? Well, we want to take 2 BNB out, and as soon as we take that out, we're gonna lose our 15%. So which was the max bonus. It's gonna go back to 14.82. And it doesn't actually matter if we're only going to take 0.1 BNB out or we're going to take 10 BNB out. You're going to lose your max bonus. So in order to maximize it and limit your your losses here. So it is best you compound until you can actually take the full fresh value out. You take the hit and then you start compounding again. It will take you, as I said, around 3 days to do that. Do this only when you have power value that can produce it in 24 hours. In our case, when we get to 2.01 per day, or better, obviously, if you can do it every 90 minutes. Since this is a new platform, nobody can do this, obviously, right now. But we are currently at about 1.6 per day. And why I'm mentioning that this should be done as quickly as possible, or 24 hours. So this is our guidelines that you can obviously stop compounding and simply just add the money in there. But if it takes you 4 or 5 days to get to that particular point, so then you haven't compounded anything, which you have lost a bit on the particular platform. You take the money out and then obviously you start again. So we prefer that we can get to a certain point. We are only about a week in now in this particular platform, so we can wait a bit longer. So most probably around 10 days until we get to the point where we in 1 day can pick up about the 2 BNB that we want to take out and become risk-free. From there on, basically you repeat the steps, so up to 5 times. So unfortunately you can't see it, but it says 5 times x5 behind this picture here. And you are now at the max allowance. So again, 2.01 times 5 is 10.05 BNB. And that is basically the end of it. After that, if you're going to do another withdrawal, that now means that you go into the penalty and you're not getting your full amount out anymore. So you have to devise a strategy in order to make sure that this can continue and is sustainable both for the platform and also for yourself. And what we have mentioned in here is keep the strategy, but divide the withdrawal amount with a 20-80% strategy. So, and exactly what do I mean by that? Well, let's have a look at an Excel that I just built up to show you a couple of examples. So here I show you the first example. So what you're looking at here is the initial investment. Our investment was 2.01 BNB, and we haven't bought anything else after that. The allowance that we came out from the platform was 10.05, and at the moment we also have the same left. So what happens when you do a withdrawal within the platform here? Well, we're going to take out the max, so we agreed on that, so 2 BNB, and we don't buy any more panels at the moment. So the allowance we had was 10.05, and now what happens is the platform basically comes in and says, okay, so we take this off your allowance and your new allowance left is 8.04 BNB. You can do that again, obviously. So again, we take out a bit later in the week or later in the month, depending on the strategy. And we're still not buying anything in here. So the allowance will continue to be the same. So we're basically pretending we are not referring anybody in. It makes it easier for the calculation. And the allowance will complete again and will go down. So now you only have 6 BNB to take out. And after 5 withdrawals, you are basically there. You have filled out your allowance completely. Obviously, you have also taken quite a bit of profit. But on the 6th withdrawal, you will again want to take 2.01 out. But because you have a 50% base abute tax, that means that you're only getting 1 BNB out. And that is obviously not optimum if you have to give so much away to the platform itself. So what can you do instead? Well, we have second option here, and this is the 2080 that we're discussing. So solar farm, again, we're starting off with the investment here. So we started off with the 2 BNB, build panels. Everything is as you saw on the other Excel here. And then you're going to start off with the first withdrawal. You're going to take out the maximum, as we talked about, 0.201. But now we have a strategy that we are basically putting 20% back into the platform, which means we're taking 80% of the profits out to us, and then the rest will go into the platform. So we buy for 0.402, back into the platform. And now, because we are getting a 5 times allowance in the platform as thank you very much for investing here, we get an allowance added, so which is now 0.2. And that obviously means here that we will now get the allowance up to 12. But on the other hand, we just took 2 out, so it will drop down to 10.05. Will basically be back to the same as it was before. So the next time we do this, we will now be able to, because we now have the fresh value, and our fresh value will be updated in the platform, because not only did we invest the 2.01, we have also invested 0.4. So the new fresh value you will have here is 0.2412. And again, you're going to use the same strategy. You're going to take 80% of this out, and then the last 20 will go back into the platform to build it further. And that will be this time around a bit more, so 0.4824. Again, it will be times 5, so allowance will go up. And that means your allowance will now be at 14. But on the other hand, you again have taken 2.142 out, and you're going to end up in the same allowance level. And you can continue to this, and as you can see, you can keep your allowance level at the same time as you came in, but slowly and surely you can actually get your fresh value up. It means that after 6 withdrawals you should be able to get about 5 BNB out, so again without any penalties on it. And you can continue after 10 withdrawals. You are now at 15. So if you change the 15% mark in here, and we just make an update to this, you will see that obviously again over time we will take out a certain amount. But if you look at withdrawal number 10, you are basically out of allowance that you have left. Means that you are not investing back enough into the platform in order to sustain it, and now you have to pay the penalties again. Obviously your money is still there, you can still withdraw, but now you're ending up with the penalties of 50%, and you don't really want to be doing that. You can also go the other way and say, okay, I want to have a look and do the rebuild. 25% goes back into the platform. And if we look down the line here now, you can see after 10 withdrawals, we are almost at 15 BNB instead. So obviously you can take a lot more out of the platform. And at the end of the day, you will also see the allowance left is actually rising quite significantly, and you can then stop it again if that's what you want. But we are actually suggesting that you do a third thing instead. And for that, we have this particular sheet. So everything here is the same as you saw before, same investments, no difference. So, but we suggest that, and we will try to go in and do the withdrawal. We will do the withdrawal of the 2 BNB. We will not build any panels for that time, which means we will not get the allowance back in. So the allowance will obviously stay the same until we take the first one out, and then the allowance difference is now down to 8. But that will basically make sure that we are now risk-free. So apart from a couple of cents or dollars, depending on how many times you have compounded here, you have made your money back. So you are out of risk, and you have nothing to show for it. But on the other hand, you haven't lost anything. So the second part, we suggest a second withdrawal here, where you one more time take the maximum out. Keep the strategy. We are not buying any more panels here. So, and allowance is still 5 times, but 5 times of 0, still nothing. And your allowance now goes down to 6. So now we can say that we had a profitable investment, and that means that we've gotten almost 100% out of this, and we can now be happy with anything else that comes after that fact. So what you do from here is basically follow the strategy as I showed you before. Obviously nothing has changed because your fresh value has not gone up. You haven't invested anymore in the platform this time around on the third one. So, but you will take the 0.4, you put it into the platform. It will provide you with an extra allowance of 2 BNB. And then the allowance will go up to 12. In that particular case, now your allowance left will stabilize all the way through, and then you build it up from here. As you can see, you won't get the 10 BNB out as you wanted to on the other strategy here. So, but at the end of the day, it's about reducing the risk as quickly as possible in any high risk endeavor similar to this. So that is the strategy that we want to move forward with. So you can see there is still plenty of options despite the limitations that are on some of the things in version 2. There's ways around it and to build a sound strategy. So like we have shown you here, obviously we would like to hear if you have any other strategies. Comments on our ones are obviously also much appreciated. And we would like also to obviously make sure that you sign up to Solar Farm. If you want to use our referral link here, you can put it in the bottom of the video and also on our homepage. And as thank you very much for supporting High Tech Investment and the YouTube channel here, we will provide you with the Excel. So all you have to do is send us an email, and then also with your account details. That is the MetaMask address that you have there. Don't worry, it's not an unsafe part to do so. We can't do anything with it other than we can just make sure that the reference is the right one. And after that, we will send you the details. So we hope you enjoyed this video. We hope that you will get some good profits with this particular strategy, and hope to see you on the next video. Bye bye.